Queridos amigos, sean bienvenidos a un nuevo capítulo de Antesala Teatro UdeC. Tengo la gran alegría en este momento de estar con uno de mis queridos amigos, un músico al que admiro muchísimo. Estoy hablando de Richard Octaviano Kogima. Quizás ustedes ya lo conocen, fue parte del Sinfónico pasado con nuestra orquesta como director y como solista. Y esta semana estamos haciendo dos proyectos distintos. Él nos va a acompañar con el concierto para piano número 2 de Brahms y además de eso vamos a hacer un recital. Hace 8 años que dejé de estudiar violín y volví a retomarlo precisamente para esta oportunidad. Así que va a ser una semana bastante intensa para los dos, pero bueno, sin duda que vamos a disfrutar mucho también. Richard, it's a pleasure to have you here, man.
I'm so happy to be here and for a proper marathon debut in Chile. This for me, you know, already the last program, symphony, Schumann, Mozart from the piano, contemporary piece, and now this week, you know, Brahms 2, of course, is a childhood dream. And it's not enough. We will also play chamber music, which I think we both feel it's really the heart of Brahms music in so many ways.
How do you feel last week working with the orchestra?
Really wonderful, and I don't take that for granted. I think it must be said, the openness of the orchestra and the willingness to try ideas and to propose ideas also. For example, in the contemporary piece also you need to try out things, right? We're both discovering, so it takes a degree of openness from the orchestra that I really appreciated and didn't take for granted. And you know, the sound that we found on Mozart and Schumann, their ability to change styles was something I really cherished.
Well, I have to say both concerts were a huge success and the musicians were really happy with you, which also makes me very happy because then I see, you know, that, I mean, my goal, of course, as an artistic director is to bring people that make them, that can inspire them, but also people that can work with them, you know, and like improve the level and like push them all the time. I think that's really important. So I'm very thankful to you, you know, that you accepted this invitation.
And I'm thankful to you, and it feels now like it's the cherry on top of the cake that we can be together doing chamber music. Yeah. And of course, for me, one cannot deny that playing Brahms 2 is like an Everest for any pianist. So to do that with a friend on the podium, that I will feel very supported, and I'm grateful for that because it's enough responsibility.
Why would you say, like, I mean, it's a cliche that this concerto is like one of the top ones, right? I mean, you could say, I don't know, Rachmaninoff, or maybe Beethoven even, like, but like, there is a cliche about how difficult Brahms 2 is. Like, why would you say that is?
I remember having a talk to my piano teacher from my bachelor in São Paulo, when I did my bachelor degree at the University of São Paulo, and he said, Brahms 1 is difficult, and there are some passages which are terribly difficult, but then it comes the next passage where you can breathe. Brahms 2, they keep coming.
That's true.
So for me, as a pianist, a little bit like when you are in the ocean and a huge wave hits you, and then it comes the next and the next all the time. I think there is that. I do think that there is also the sheer size. It's long. It's a marathon, it takes stamina and endurance.
4 movements.
For a very long first movement, although not as long as the first piano concerto, at least that. But I think it must be said, this is also a mature Brahms piece, and
that's true.
It's not only about technique, it's also the way in which he writes, for example, this thing that appears in violin concerto also, octaves, and it's one harmony changing into another harmony in a way that no other composer would have organized it. It's unusual.
That's true, and you know, it's funny because we've been doing a lot of Brahms lately. Like last season was my first season with them, and we did all Brahms symphonies. And it's nice to see like the evolution, you know, like also the composer, but also how the orchestra has adapted to the sound that I want to propose for Brahms, because I think it's a very particular sound that is really hard to reach, and not every orchestra can get to that level, you know. And we did violin concerto this year with Bastian. Now we're doing Brahms with you. We're doing the second piano concerto. So I was saying, you know, we're doing the Deutsches Requiem this year, which to me is probably the best Brahms ever wrote, and it's been a very nice. I don't know, like evolution of like moments in the orchestra. And I also have the feeling that, as you said, this is a very late piece.
Yes.
It's very difficult. musically it's very profound.
Yes.
And I'm also happy because I think it's like a degree deeper into what the orchestra needs for a Brahms sound,
Right.
in comparison to what we've done
Plus,
before.
it's a accompaniment, but not really.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is always this tricky thing with Brahms,
It's
right?
a very prominent orchestra. So.
Who plays which role? I think that's a crucial thing. I remember listening to an interview once with Simon Rattle about the Requiem, and he says it's hard to know who is singing, who is speaking, and who is playing. And I think the same could be said about this concerto. And for me, what also comes in my mind always is that Brahms was picky himself, right? He burned so many of his works.
Yeah.
So he must have been picky not only about the quality of his compositions, but how people played. And we know from this tradition that goes back to Edwin Fischer and, you know, tracing the line directly to pianists that Brahms himself liked to listen, and how he appreciated slight rubato, and how much, how little. So this is for me one of the main challenges also,
Yeah.
trying to find it.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, it's like this very fine little details, right? That you need to like know how to adapt. And Telemann talks a lot about this. You know, like rubato in Schumann, Mendelssohn in Brahms, even in Bruckner. Like you should be able to like find something. You can barely call it rubato even, but there is like a little bit here and a little bit there, and like that's hard to achieve.
Yes, and it's also hard to achieve when you anyway have so much to be dealing with at every time, like we said. So it's in the middle of every wave hitting you with the sheer difficulty to still care for the taste and the style. And in the other hand, to be really honest, I feel like, yes, I can think about style when I'm preparing this piece, but when I'm finally delivering, I need to feel above all that I am honest in expressing how I think it should be expressed, right?
I want to ask you, how have you felt here? How is it to be in Chile? It's the first time, right? I mean, we can see the city here, like most of it. We can even see the theater somewhere there. Like it's well, I've been here now for a longer time, so I actually love the city. I love the people. It's an amazing place to be. But it's your first time in Chile, so how is it for you to be here?
Immediately home. I think that there is something that, of course, we in Brazil, we are the exception of the Portuguese-speaking people here in South America. But of course, we share a very big identity as South Americans during the World Cup. So it must be said. So I think that I said that also to many people here, that the moment I talked to people and I arrived here, I was like, okay, I am not too far from home, not only geographically, but also in the feeling. It's also interesting because Brazil is not a country of many tall mountains.
Yeah, true.
Right? We have beautiful mountains near the sea, Serra do Mar, and some tall mountains, but nothing like the Andes.
No.
So this is an aspect of South America that makes me feel this connection, right? In Switzerland, the Alps, Brahms loved the Alps. Well, we have some mountain inspiration here as well.
And mountains are much more beautiful here than...
Then you cannot,
of course.
There is anyway no comparison.
I had this argument with many Swiss friends, you know, because they always tell me like, yeah, you know, the Alps and everything. It's like,
Torres del Paine.
Like, go to Chile and then we can talk about that.
Yes, and it must be said also, I would be very happy one day to discover the capital, but I'm happy because here we are so surrounded by nature.
Yeah.
And as you know, for me this is plays a role. There's music, there's nature, these things are important to me.
So that's something that I find very interesting. I usually try to ask my guests about that, like, how's it for you like to deal with the daily life of a musician? Because like, for example, now it's a very stressful week for both of us.
Yes.
Where do you find peace? Like, what's important to you, like apart from work? You know, when you're not playing, because you have a very active career as a soloist, as a conductor, as a chamber musician. So you also teach. You've taught piano, and now you're teaching conducting. So like, how do you rest, or like, what do you do with your free time?
That is a very important question. And of course, there are things, and I can tell you also specific things that I do in my rest time to try to stop a kind of obsessive way that can get to us
No.
sometimes in this profession. But there is something that comes to my mind, a quote by a pianist that I always admired a lot, and specifically for Brahms too, Christian Zimmermann. I grew up with that famous recording with Bernstein. And he says, we're not recreating the notes. We're trying at least to recreate the reason why the composer wrote those notes.
No.
So this requires a degree of sensitivity, and you cannot be involved with such deep music. It's easy in our current constellation to be lost in so much that is part of this job, but you have to keep coming back to the essence, right? I mean, I'm a nature guy, right? So me and my wife, we certified scuba divers, proudly so. We like to spend as much time as we can looking exactly for this piece.
We've discussed this a lot, especially like you said, like so many things in the profession or in the job that have actually nothing to do with music. And I think like we live, unfortunately, in times where it seems that everything else is more important than music, right? Everything has to be young, sexy, quick,
Yes.
like astonishing immediately and fireworks and like. But I find those things have very little to do with music. It's hard to, like sometimes I feel like myself like the business of music, it's more important than music itself, and I find that very, I don't know, toxic.
I think
somehow.
this is something that if you don't take an active stance that I am going to do everything in my power to keep the focus in the essence and not in the appearance, the way the business is happening nowadays, it will lead you to the place of caring about what one should not care that much.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, I'm also not naive, and all these things are important to present music in an approachable and good quality way, exactly how we're trying to do here. But the soul of an artist has to keep, and I always had admiration, for example, for the old people, I will never forget when my also piano teacher in Zurich told me, listen to the dead pianists. And one can learn so much, maybe also about the kind of world in which these pieces were conceived. It's, so yeah, Mr. Blomstedt, of course, Herbert Blomstedt was an important mentor for me, and how touching it was. We were both raised with this similar principle of keeping the Shabbat, right? And this is something that maybe more than ever I see the value of a principle like that.
Yeah, I think you just can reconnect.
Stop.
Right, with what's important.
Yeah. Slow, stop, which is everything in the counter sense of what the current trend is.
For me, it's just very hard to separate those two things because I think I live between the extreme that music is the most important thing.
Yes.
But we talked about this the other day, like when you have family, when you have a partner, when you have children at home, you gain so much perspective of what actually matters, and like obsessive behavior, we're all obsessive about like what we do and like, we care, that piano, the articulation, but like at the end, I love this quote by Simon Rattle, he says like, music's about life, but it's not the other way around.
Yes.
And that's very true.
Yes.
And I think we, at least for me, it's very hard to forget that sometimes.
And it's all the harder because part of me loves to also get obsessed for a certain time.
Of course.
There is something to, oh my God, I want to learn this piece, and I want to practice so much today because I want to go deep into it and I'm inspired by it. But then I think that the same way that the physical can be exhausted, the creativity, the artistic sensitivity to react to things, it can be exhausted as well. So
the physical part is horrible. I told you I have a horrible knot now in my back because like I've been playing violin more than I did in the last 8 years.
Yes, the most ergonomic instrument ever.
It's horrible. This is horrible. And like in a way, it's funny because I'm enjoying to play much more now that I don't consider myself a violinist anymore. But yeah, the physical part goes away very quickly. So like recovering is just, and now I'm also like thinking, there's a reason why I stopped. Like,
absolutely. And all these things, I feel like exactly like they can be then, this is life, right?
Yeah.
Dealing with challenges in your body, dealing with challenges in the everyday, and then you bring these emotions into your performing as well.
Yeah.
Talking about Bernstein, I believe it was also Christian Zimmermann who said he never met someone who reacted so much in performances to what happened to him on that very day. And I think Johannes Brahms was the same. When we read the letters about suddenly he was playing twice as fast. Oh, I just had a very good day, and I'm very happy, you know. So all of that requires a certain openness.
Yeah, but I mean, it's again the same thing. Like, you know, one of the things I love, for example, about making music with you is that it's funny. I mean, we rehearsed first time, like, we haven't played the recital yet when we are recording this now, but like we rehearsed a couple of days ago. Yeah. And it felt just so natural. And we did chamber music in the past.
Let's not forget, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a nice thing, you know, when you can react to what's happening in the moment. There's this amazing interview also with Telemann where he says like when a singer needs something different in the evening, I just go with them, you know. It's not about me. So like, and that flexibility, it's actually something that it's very rare to find now.
And also, well, let's agree, it's also difficult to find, and I think it has to be cherished and has to be looked for, right? And I remember in one of the rehearsals we said, this is kind of nice because since you are active as a conductor and not an everyday violinist, I'm also more and more active as a conductor. I think the brain is not so much concerned with simply the pianism or the violinism of it. And this is a nice
more
thing.
With the music.
The music itself, what is the idea behind? And I think it was Stanislav Neuhaus, the son of Heinrich Neuhaus, who said that you have to transcend the physical.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the search at the end.
This is a transmission, but the idea is what really matters. So I think that's what we're trying to find.
Well, you know, we could be talking a whole hour about life or like anything. I mean, again, you're a very dear friend, so it makes me very happy to have you here. Yes, it's great. It's a lot of fun. So like, I thank you for being here.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you for this moment.
Yeah.
We have to close now because actually we have to go rehearse for
and I should practice also.
Exactly.
That's an important thing. I can only say that it's meant a lot, right? And to share something as meaningful as a debut with Brahms too and everything with a friend, and we do have this kind of talk on the meals. So we are enjoying this week, and I think this spirit will be in the performance also.
Queridos amigos, les quiero agradecer por habernos escuchado en este espacio en Antesala Teatro UdeC. Como se darán cuenta, esta vez no en el Teatro UdeC, pero también queríamos ocupar esta oportunidad para salir un poco, mostrar más la ciudad, para que Richard también pueda ver otros lugares de la ciudad. Y quiero, por supuesto, invitarlos a que nos acompañen en nuestro concierto del fin de semana, donde vamos a tener a Richard como solista con el segundo concierto para piano de Brahms y con el burgués gentilhombre de Strauss, una obra magnífica, muy desconocida de este compositor, que estoy seguro van a disfrutar mucho. Richard, thank you very much.
Gracias, Luis. Todos invitados.